if you only want to eat, you're only going to get what's left after the hungry are full. Ah, so this, I don't know, how many of you, and for those of you that are hiding behind a camera and not on microphone, just because again you're dealing with your Monday, for those that like have like if I because I can't see you, I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to ask you to raise your hand or make a thumbs up or such. Is how many of you have like uh, kids or have been around teenagers or preteens, and you've ever heard this statement? They walk into the kitchen or the downstairs and they go, "I'm hungry," and you're like, "Good, go get yourself something to eat." And they go, "But we don't have any food," and you're like, "No, we have food." They're like, "No, we don't have. We have things that make food, but we don't have food." And they're like, "When are we going to get some food?" And then, or you go to the restaurant and they look at the menu and you're like, "Great, what would you like?" They're like, "They don't have anything. There's nothing here that I like." And I'm like, "Oh, are you kidding me right now?" Right? And so what's the response when they say, "But I'm hungry." But I'm hungry. And then you're like, "Well, go get something." And they're like, "But we don't have any food." What's your response as a parent usually? I know what I say.
I say then you're not hungry.
Then you're not hungry, you're bored.
Yes.
You're not hungry, you're bored. Get out of here. Get out of here, right? So here's the conversation that I want to have today is, sometimes we say, "But I'm hungry." And then you're given a list of all the things that we have in the pantry and you're like, "Yeah, but I don't like that." As opposed to, when's the last time you were ever hungry, right? Like hungry. So I want to talk about the differences between just wanting to eat versus hungry, right? We're gonna have a little conversation around this, how this might show up in your life and in your business. So when someone just wants to eat, really what they're saying is, "Well, if you make me something." And then it's, "Well, we don't have actually food," even though they're staring at a full pantry. They're bored, they're picky. They say, "Well, no, but I just don't want that." "Well, I don't like how that tastes." "Well, that's not cold enough. That needs ice." "Well, that's not warm enough." "Ew, I don't do leftovers." Right? That's someone who just wants to eat, as opposed to someone who's hungry or thirsty. Do you ever remember thinking about, like, when I was a kid growing up, like, the friends that I hung out with, we would like all get together. It was in the summer. It was like 8 or 9 a.m. We get together and then we would go just play baseball or football until we all died of dehydration. Or we'd find someone's yard and then what? We turn on the hose and drink boiling water that tastes like rubber. Because you ain't thirsty unless you survived boiling hose water. And at that point, you're like, "This is delicious. This is the best water I've ever had. They should bottle this." Right? That's when you know you're thirsty, right? And so when you're hungry, you'll eat a dang mayonnaise sandwich. Right? Like when you're hungry, you'll thank anyone for anything they put in front of you. There was a uh I was at a friend's house and their parents were from Croatia. And we were eating wings. It was like wings and ribs. It was a barbecue. And as I was eating my plate, the dad, who was, in his late 60s, very thick accent, extremely European guy, he goes, "I can tell you're an immigrant. I can tell you're from Poland." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because your bones are clean. Because you ate everything that's on the bone." He said, "Look around. There's a lot of people that aren't worried about where their next meal is coming from, and they left everything on the bone." He says, "It's just I can tell where you come from by my bones." And I'm like, "Oh, well, Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like it's just that was just something that always happened, right? So when you're really hungry, think about this. How many of you have ever had like, I don't know, a late night encounter after going out? And you come home, it's 2 or 3 in the morning, and guess what? You've got the most creative ingredients for the most ridiculous stuff ever. You've put stuff together at 2, 3 a.m. like you've never had before. You're like, watch this amazing creation. And it might be spicy and sweet and savory and cake. Like, I don't know. It could be all of it. Like cake with hot sauce and a little mayo. Like, it doesn't matter. Like when you're like that level of hungry, you'll put all of the things together. So when you're really hungry, it's never a lack of resources. You're resourceful enough to make anything work, and you will drink near boiling water out of a hose. So the question is, when things get a little challenging or a little slow or a little different, how do you show up when you're in a slump? Are you hungry or you just want to eat? See, because the thing is like when you're hungry and you know your family's hungry, hungry doesn't wait to be fed. They look, they scavenge. You ever see somebody that like lives on the streets? They're hungry. They find stuff in the garbage, right? They'll pick up somebody else's to-go box and they'll clean their bones for them. That's hungry. They're willing to do whatever it takes, right? They create opportunity, raw. They take unbridled action. Cold calling, sure, absolutely. Door knocking, yes, please. Video, just show me how. Ads, point me in the right direction. Give me a tutorial. Open houses, I'll do 4. Handwritten notes, how big of a box you got for me? Actually pick up the phone. Okay, what do you want me to say? What should I say? How often? For how many people? Do you have a list? I'll just keep going, right? Walking up to people at a festival or an event, great. Do I have flyers or I just want to talk to them? Perfect, right? Find a mastermind, perfect. Like, great. I'll just start Googling. I'll search. What books are there? I don't know. Let me go research them myself. Let me go find some and let me just start reading. I do have some downtime. I've been driving here and there. I'm not going to let that slide. Right? Trainings. How can I go? Are they free? I'm there 100%. How much do they cost? I'll figure it out. I'll make a way. Right? Oh, you want me to implement what's at the training? Perfect. Tomorrow? Absolutely. Right? Accountability. I don't know who. I'll create the group. Who else wants to be accountable? Let's be accountable together. Events. There's no event. You want to invite me to an event? I'm going to make an event. I'm going to build things. Oh, you're not going to let me in that door? Guess what? I just went to a door making class. I'm going to start building doors. How hungry are you? How hungry are you? Some of us say we're hungry. And like Eric Thomas says, some of you say you want it, but you just kind of want it. You just kind of want it. And Les Brown, my buddy Les Brown says, you gotta be hungry. And if you know Les Brown, then you know, right? The thing is this, the people that only want to eat, they'll do it after you tell them to, but they push back. They get picky. They want to do it their way. They want to get really creative with their limitations. Listen, I'm just not techie. I sound so weird on camera. I hate getting called, so I can't call. I hate when people knock on my door. I could never do that. I'm just not this or I'm not that. I sound like this. These people have been doing it for this long. That's not fair. They have an advantage. I'm so new. I just sound stupid. I sound canned. If you only want to eat, you're only going to get what's left after the hungry are full.
We say that one more time. That was really good.
If you just want to eat, then you're only going to get what's left after those that are truly hungry have had their fill. Period. So let me open up the floor to those of you at the buffet. When's the last time you were actually like hungry? Like, so I have an issue with blood sugar. I get hypoglycemic, et cetera. And there's like, if I eat the wrong thing in the morning and I'm not around, like if I don't have the right foods in the afternoon, I get physically like super shaky, lightheaded, cold sweats, and like it's a switch. And I actually turn into a demon. And my wife is like, it's not fair. You need to let me know. And I was like, I don't even know when it's going to happen. And I have about a 4-second notice before it's, and then, but here's the thing, in that moment, the only thing that I'm focused on right now is like, I need to get something to eat. I need a Snickers. I need a bag of peanuts. I need some almonds or something. I need something right now. And if you talk to me, like we might not talk for a month. Like there's a difference there, right? When's the last time you were hungry? Oh, we lost some people today.
You burned them hard.
We did. We lost a handful. Shoot. Today's message. I guess they weren't that hungry.
I would say that, well, to answer one question, when's the last time I was really hungry would be, I think, when I first got into real estate, which was like scary, obviously leaving a 9-to-5 job, guaranteed paycheck, jumping into this, really not knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's really what the circumstances called for, right, was to make it happen, or you literally don't eat. Since then, I like, my excuse is not lack of skills or lack of willing to try or do something. I think it more falls back for me kind of when we had that money conversation. I'm used to being okay, right, or just settling, or being good. And so when I get to those points, I look back at what I've done, and it's very easy to say like we're okay, because in reality, right, we are okay. Obviously, I want more and have bigger goals, but I'm able to talk myself into saying, like, look back from where you came from, all those things, and I'm like, okay, like I'm good, right? Like I don't need to be like, I can just eat, right? I don't need to be that hungry. And so that's what I fall into, and am working on trying to find, a new hunger to, get after, that next level of what I want.
It's like, let's say you're on a team or you're an individual agent or whatever, and you're like, man, I wish I just had some deals. And then the team leader or the rainmaker goes, well, let's open up the database. Look at all these potential deals in here. You're like, yeah, but not those. Like, I don't want to have to go and follow up on cold leads. I don't want to have to call somebody that 7th time. They already said no 5 times, or they weren't ready 5 times. Well, guess what? They're crock potting. You can't have like a fork soft piece of beef unless it's been in that crock pot for at least 7 hours. It's going to be tough. These leads, you got to crock pot them for at least 5, 6, 7 times before you can cut them with a fork, before they're ready. So you guys want microwave. You want microwave success, which isn't very nutritious, not very good for you. Doesn't even taste that good. Versus that slow smoke crock pot.
Do we need to feed you?
You can listen, I'm hungry. See, the thing is, the difference is like right now, I'm hungry. And we got that little chill in the air right now. So I'm thinking like chili, crock pot, smoker, briskets. Let's go.
I would go with Ramil. I think I end up in the same spot. Like at first, you're real hungry, right? You don't have deals. You've got to figure out how to generate business. And then all of a sudden you get into year like 2, 3, 4, and you're getting these referrals and businesses coming to you, and you get comfortable with that. And you don't want to necessarily work as hard as you used to have to. And so I think that's where it's a struggle to kind of, you find yourself in this roller coaster of waiting for business to come to you. And then you get some business, you get motivated, you're going, and then you're overwhelmed. Just it's that whole roller coaster thing that we talk about. So I think it goes in spurts, but I also think that a lot of mine can be mindset too, similar to Ramil's with that money mindset. So two things happen. Either I get super busy and I feel like my personal life suffers. So then I try to just justify, we have enough money. I don't have to work harder. This is okay. Like you kind of put a cap at your, oh, I'm comfortable here. I don't want to work harder. And then the other thing is, I think it's somewhat like subconscious self-sabotaging because of that money mindset too. Like we grew up very paycheck to paycheck type, in my family, money was always tight and it was always something that was argued about between my parents. And so I think in my mind, whether I like it or not, there's just this subconscious programming that's what you're always supposed to struggle for money. You're always supposed to have these challenges. Like it almost feels wrong to be comfortable and have a healthy level of income.
I was watching, so I follow some fitness guys and some like professional bodybuilder guys. I'm fascinated with like the elite mindset that those people take to go to those extremes. Right. And one of the guys was talking about, he's like, everyone's problem is that they get bored of the chicken and rice or the chicken and broccoli. And he's like, man, he's like, we're not doing this for the taste. We're doing this for the result. Your problem is you're more worried about what it tastes like versus what you're going to get on the other side. And so the thing is this, like everyone can get excited and follow a meal plan for a week. But the thing is like your desire for variety is the thing that's keeping you poor. One of my coaches shared with me, he says, until you learn how to do your business like a dog eats, you'll never truly be successful. And I'm like, what are you talking about how a dog eats? He goes, well, what do you feed your dog? The same thing at the same time every day. Now, my dog does sit by the table and he's like, that smells and looks a lot better than what you gave me. And if you drop some, I'll take it. But guess what? If you only put a cup of this in their food and they decide to skip that day, the next day they'll finish it. Because when they're hungry, they'll eat. And, some of us are so freaking soft that we want variety. We want it to taste good. We want it to feel good. We want it to be fun. Get over yourself, man. You know what's fun? Changing people's lives, handing over a closing, like handing over keys, providing for your family, showing up, having done what you said you would. That's fun. That's the funnest. Who told you it was going to be fun every day, all day? This isn't HGTV. Get over yourself. And I'm talking to myself right now. So don't feel like I'm talking to you. I'm talking to me. This is me in the mirror. I'm going to have to watch this back for myself because I get stuck in the same thing too. I was like, man, this is kind of boring. I'm doing the same thing every day for the last 17 years. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what we do.
I think that's why a lot of high producers talk about the routine, right? We always talk about living in your calendar and why that's important, but then doing the boring stuff first. So why do you think that people stick their lead generation from 8 to 10 or 9 to 11 or whatever every single day?
Yeah.
So they can get it out of the way and then have something to look forward to afterwards. And then it becomes a habit, right? They just know it's almost like do the hard stuff and then you get the rewards, where we are all programmed to want that instant reward.
Yep. Other thoughts? Anyone else? Anyone else want to chime in on today's conversation? What resonated with you and what kind of put you on notice? Because when I was listening to this, it was just a 30-second TikTok that got me fired up a little bit. It was a basketball coach, who was talking about when he's recruiting players. He has two players. When he looks at them, he's like, the question I need to ask when I'm watching these two is who's hungry versus who wants to eat. Who will practice when you tell them to, and who's showing up early, who's doing extra, who's showing up, staying late, doing that's hungry, right? That wants more. And I was like, ooh, this is good. How does this show up in our world? What else resonated with you guys? What are you going to change now, having heard this? Or do more of?
Yeah, I don't know. I just got to figure out how to get hungry again in the first place. I
Well,
think.
just ask yourself, right? Like, am I showing up? Am I being too picky because I want it to taste good, or am I actually hungry? And the thing is, like, what are you hungry for? And if the income is taken care of, right? So let's just talk about it. Everyone's first level that you got to hit is sustainability. Like, you've got to get to a place where you can survive. And then there's a gap that you got to find. You got to shift the gear a little bit from survival to thrive, right? But then, so once you get to thrive, the next part, this is the challenging part, because here's what people discover. You thought once you made money, you'd be happy. And the thing is, once you get the money and you're still dissatisfied with your life, money isn't going to get it. So you stop doing that, right? However, the thing is like we got disconnected from a purpose, whether that's through our relationships, our family, or otherwise, right? Like, everyone's got to make a certain amount of money. And then you get to the point where you make a little bit more so you can save and create legacy. But the thing is like
I'm good.
the challenge
Good
is
morning. Oops.
that's okay. We'll mute you. All right, thanks. Make sure you get all of us one. Is that Whataburger coffee? Is that what you're getting? You better get some Whataburger coffee. What was I saying? Well, that's okay.
You get to the point where you build your legacy.
Yeah. Right. So like, at some point, like, the thing is like, here's why we spend so much time doing the hard stuff earlier, talking about why and purpose. And I challenge everybody to go beyond just saying family and kids. Everyone says that. You got to get beyond it. It's got to get personal. It's got to get beyond just that, or else you're going to have resentment, because you're going to go through all this stuff for other people and you're left with nothing for yourself. Now, that may be enough to keep you going for some point. That, don't get me wrong, I love my wife and my kids, but that's not it for me. Right? So that's the hardest part. And for whatever reason, we tend to put like this negative connotation on, like, if you go after something that's self-serving as opposed to altruistic and for everyone else. We want it to be a charity. We want it to be this. Like, yeah, okay, cool. Look, Mother Teresa, she was already here. Why are you doing what you're doing? Now, I do have a desire to impact and change as many lives as I can. However, it's through some of the mistakes that I've made to help others not make those same mistakes, right? So that drives me, that fuels me, that keeps me hungry, right? Looking for the next stage, the next opportunity, looking out into a sea of people and seeing behind some of those eyes that they may have had a conversation just before they got to that meeting, that their relationship's over or their kids don't want to talk to them anymore, but they have an opportunity to fix that. Like, that's what fuels me. That makes me hungry AF. I'm starving for the opportunity to make that connection in the audience from someone who thinks their life is over and it's not. For someone who thinks their marriage is over and it's not. I will eat mayonnaise sandwiches to get up on them stages. I'll clean your bones. That sounds weird. Don't play that clip.
You know what that reminds me of? We're gonna digress for a minute. That reminds me of your bone stacking.
Yeah. Yes. With Sean Murphy, the vice president of commercial, right?
You did clean those bones. You know, I didn't even know
bone
you did
hens,
clean those.
but they were clean.
Bones.
They were clean. There was not a morsel left. Anyways, this digressed. Listen, I don't apologize. I got a little fired up and then it got weird. That's the risk you take.
Well, I think you know what, you like, speaking of hungry and sparking, you know, and needing to move forward, like Audra and I have done a lot of talking about different programs that we can offer people, different things that we can do to keep people motivated and moving forward. And so we probably need to get off our high knees and actually put something into production here. But a couple things we've talked about is doing like getting script and role play partners where we're actively, you know, matching people up and doing some scripting and role playing, you know, a couple times a week, and then doing even like Zoom where you just log in and you do your lead gen, so you have that accountability. So if you guys are, you know, at all interested in those kind of things, let us know, because I think we might set up some extra, you know, groups outside of this to hold each other accountable, and we can all get hungry together.
No snacks.
Oh,
All right, guys. I am at a hard stop. I got my next call here is in the waiting room. So I appreciate you guys all for being here, and just keep asking yourself the tough questions. Keep pushing the needle. Don't just get caught and bored. My daughter's like, man, we don't have any food. We just have things that make food. Yeah, they're called ingredients. We have them. Now go make something. Get hungry enough to figure it out. All right, y'all. Be well. Have a great week. We'll see you Wednesday.